city of Kandahar in southern Afghanistan, there's just been a massive explosion at the headquarters of the provincial council. It's only a matter of minutes before the dead and injured start to arrive at the region's main medical centre, Mirwais Hospital. The daily toll of airstrikes, roadside bombs and explosions is a heavy one, and the highest price is paid by ordinary people trying to get on with their lives in the middle of conflict. For some of the victims brought here, it's already too late. Events like this are all too common in Kandahar. Doctors here have become specialists in treating bomb blast, bullet and shrapnel wounds, the savage injuries caused by the instruments of war. The operating theatre works full stretch day and night. The casualties come from all over the south, Kandahar, Oruzgan and Helmand, where the fighting is heaviest. Dr. Jabo is part of a small ICRC team based at Mirwais, working alongside Afghan medical staff.
It's war surgery and emergency surgery. Of course, these conditions are quite difficult for us. First of all, it's a very busy surgical department, just few numbers, but the surgical team has to perform more than 500 emergency surgeries per month. To compare to a European hospital, it's much above the average. Usually we have very busy nights. It can happen in the town or around Kandahar. There is a bomb blast or suicide attack, and every day we receive 3, 4, 5, 6 bullet wounded patients.
Working in a war zone means constant pressure and constant improvisation.
I think there is no electricity coming from the town, so we have to wait for our generator.
And that's quite common, is it?
It's not so common, but it shouldn't be a big problem because very soon the generator will work, you see.
Last night alone, the hospital admitted 120 casualties. This man was among them.
But here there is no...
He endured a 5-hour taxi journey from a village in Helmand with 2 badly broken legs. It meant taking huge risks on deadly roads, but without it, he would have lost his leg and possibly his life.
I went to the first aid post in my village. The doctor sent me here.
Ask the patient to try to move the toes. Can he move the toes?
Yeah.
The bombing destroyed our houses. There are just ruins left. I left my family behind there.
Upstairs from the operating theatre, the children's ward is also at full stretch. They don't have bullet wounds or damaged limbs, but these children are also suffering because of the war. Pneumonia, diarrhea and measles, common child killers in any developing country. But here, the fighting makes it worse. Jamila is 7 years old and seriously ill with measles and pneumonia, but she's also badly malnourished.
The severity of all these illnesses will be magnified because of the conflict, the decreased access, the decreased immunizations rates because of that. But by and far, the most important factor will be the nutrition factor. And that's what increases morbidity and mortality.
The war has ripped apart age-old patterns of work and trade. Families simply cannot grow or afford to buy enough food for their children. so chronic malnutrition makes common illnesses much worse. Many of the children are on a programme of extra high protein feeds to help them gain weight and the strength to get better. The war has disrupted and destroyed vaccination programmes and health clinics, but the journey to Mirwais Hospital from outside Kandahar is so dangerous that parents are reluctant to take the risk until the last possible moment. By the time they get here, it's often too late. After a session in the operating theatre, Dr. Jabo checks on a patient who's been at Mirwais for 3 weeks now. 15-year-old Mohammed was injured when a small bomb went off in his hand.
The thing was in my house for many days. The children brought it in and we used to play with it. I had it in my hand when it exploded. Before I was fine and healthy. Now I've lost my hand, my eye and my foot.
All right. Day by day, please, mobilization. Okay. And
Mohammed's mistake seems obvious with hindsight, but his story is not unusual. Despite his injuries, he's feeling positive and wants to go home. But back on the streets of Kandahar, he'll once again face the risk of roadside bombs and explosions. The flow of casualties into Mirwais has increased rapidly over recent months. Most of them are civilians, caught up in the war in southern Afghanistan.
So this was the one.
He mentioned this started now 2.5.
2.5, very good.